So we'll go ahead and commence the meeting with invocation by Henry, followed by the flag salute.
Father in heaven, we want to thank you for the abundance of blessings you bestow on us. Lord, especially want to thank you for protecting us from the violent weather that's been going around this part of the country. And Lord, know our hearts and our prayers go out for our countrymen whose lives have been devastated by this weather. Lord, today, grant our elected leaders your guidance and wisdom in the business before them. Keep us all mindful that we're all citizens of Marion County, and when we come together here, let us be civil and respectful of one another. Lord, I offer this prayer in the name of your Son and our Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, administrative business.
Okay. The first thing that I have are the minutes of May 17th.
Okay. Y'all had time to review those minutes. Any additions or corrections?
Make a motion to accept the minutes as written on May 17th.
Okay, motion made to approve the May 17th minutes. I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay. And then I have the minutes of May 20.
I'll make a motion to accept unless we have somebody have a problem.
Okay,
I'll second.
okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
And I have several weeks worth of minutes here for you to sign because we haven't been signing them since we were waiting on one.
Okay.
So do you want to go ahead and do that? Are you okay to do that now?
Sure.
Starting with April 29th. We have some change orders this morning. In your packet, you had a letter of request, or a letter of support for Safe Hope for a grant application. This is one of the agencies that we have done a budget allocation for in the past. They have not been in 2019, but they're applying for grants, so you have that information there.
They're, looks like they're going to be improving their existing facilities. All of the design we received. Like I said, they open 24/7, 365 days a year and serve a lot of people. 2018, they served 827 victims. That includes Harvey, Marion, and McPherson counties.
That is on Main Street right here.
We do
correct?
have a location here,
Yeah.
yes.
But the funds will be for improvements at the, where they do their housing and shelter, that sort of thing. So I guess we would need to act in support of that.
They're just asking for a letter of support for the organization. They're not asking for funding. So if the commission is comfortable with this letter, then
Yes.
we would just sign it.
Yeah, I have no problem with it. They're there ever, I've been by there quite a few times here in the last couple months. I don't know, local Marion County people are being served, and I see them there, so.
Okay. Is everyone okay with, okay. Thank you. Last week I had brought something from K-Camp about the Peabody shop being located in the floodplain and us needing to decide if you all want national flood insurance on that. And in reading this, it looks like the deductible would be $500,000 per claim. You can get a quote, but Chairman Becker, you had asked what the value of the building
Right.
is. And it is not $500,000,
No,
even with
no.
equipment
It
inside.
was.
So we think there may be about $250,000 to $300,000, including building and equipment that's located there.
That's a
So-
lot higher than what I would,
Well,
except,
because we
except
have-
when we park graders there, that's the only
Right,
thing.
that including graders.
Yeah, I was gonna say, sometimes now we've changed, some of the operator down there has changed their living location. So they're parking a grader inside down there or down at the building more.
I do know on that first round of flooding that we had, that the city workers there contacted someone from the county and they came over and moved the grader to higher ground.
Yes.
At that time, so.
Yeah. Personally, I think the building's seen its better day. I think it's probably, but to replace a building like that, you're looking at 50, 60,000. And so if you're gonna spend 60,000 or 70, whatever it takes to put a metal frame up back there, I think it'd be, I don't know, it depends on how much what was the monthly premiums or the yearly premium?
Well, if you ask them to provide a quote, they'll provide a quote. We don't have the
Okay.
premiums, but we do know that according to this, what the letter says is that limits are $1 million per occurrence with $1 million annual aggregate, and the deductible is equal to the coverage available through National Flood Insurance, which are up to $500,000 per building. So the deductible could be up to $500,000 by itself.
We'd have a hard time collecting anything.
Yeah.
Okay,
Or
so,
that would probably be a wise use of funds at this point.
okay, so on this letter, they are asking for you to decide whether you want to waive or whether you want them to provide a quote for flood insurance.
I'd say no, that's,
I would say no.
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, so we will mark, we have reviewed the properties listed and we are not interested in getting a quote for flood coverage through the National Flood Insurance Program at this time. Okay. And this does ask for the chairman's signature at the bottom. And that was all the administrative business that I have. I do have road and bridge business. Jesse has a FEMA meeting this morning at 9 that he had to attend, and so he's not here. So,
Before you do that, under administrative, I'd like to ask a question if I can. Is that a yes? Okay.
Go ahead.
So I was, just a question, I was looking at this bill again from this law firm, and this one, and I'll make a correction on the other one too, but this one right here does have a conference call on here. It just says with Tina Sharon, Commissioner. Was that you? Did you have a conference call with him?
No,
I didn't either, and it was almost an hour, and I was wondering which commissioner it was. Because for an hour with a conference with Tina, Sharon, and Mr. Hughes, I thought was kind of interesting.
I mean,
I don't believe it was a conference call. I think it's.
It was a conference. Well, I'm just reading what it says.
Right.
It says conference with Tina, Sharon, and Commissioner.
I think that is just him saying he had discussions with Sharon, myself, and a commissioner. I don't know. There was no call. There was no time that any of the three, Sharon and I, or Commissioner were together.
Okay,
So,
okay, I guess.
would you like me to get
Call.
clarification?
Well, it just says conference.
Right.
Okay.
Would you like me to get clarification from him, because I don't know what it's
Well,
about.
I don't know that he would even remember. You can if you'd like to. And the reason I say, because even on the last bill, and if I blew it off, but it says, he did send us an explanation of the bill. And there was on the last bill, the one for $2,025. There was a call on there, it said, provide advice, RE tax exemption. And his explanation to that, it said, finally, I believe there was a question about time spent investigating a question with respect to tax exemption qualifications. This was a question raised to me by Commissioner Novak. That is a no. I did not call him. I did not talk to him about any tax exempt anything. So his recollection on that one is incorrect. That was not me. So maybe here, okay, so I was just asking that question because I wanted to just know. And so if it was none of us, then it's just the way he wrote it up, I guess.
Would you like me to ask him for clarification on that?
It wasn't during that meeting with us.
I don't think so. This is on 4/23. This was a Tuesday. So I'd say no. So I don't know, maybe he doesn't keep clear records of who he speaks to. I don't know. But it's what it says, and so it just struck me odd. That if it would have been a commissioner, that commissioner would not have, if he entered into a conference, that they would have brought it back to the commissioner and at least consulted with us. That's why I asked the
don't know.
question.
I never spoke with him.
Okay, well then I'll just chalk it up to
I'm,
the way it was written as an
Nothing
error.
about it.
As an error, I guess. Okay. All right, that was my question.
So you do not want me to get clarification on that for you?
If he can give it, sure.
Okay. Did you say that date is April 23rd?
Yeah, I believe that's what it was. It was Tuesday, and it was. Yes, that was on April 23rd,
Okay.
Tuesday.
Okay, thank you.
Anything else before we move on?
No?
Okay, you have the bids there?
I do.
These are the separate ones, aren't they?
Yes.
Well, it appears that Cooperative Supply has the low bid on all three areas, the way I read it.
Yep, I do too.
So I would make a motion to accept the area fuel bid from Cooperative Grain Supply on Area 1 for $2,029.66.60, Area 2 $43.46.45, and Area 3 $41.90.55 for a total $11,503.70.
Second.
Is it moved and seconded? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
I do also have a road crossing permit
Okay.
that was given to me by the road and bridge secretary. This is for Mound Ridge Telephone Company.
Okay, this is for work along the right-of-way, county route Alamo Road and 90th, down in the Gossel area. I know they've been running their fiber optics, I believe, and that would be another road crossing, probably bore, I would guess. Most of those are
Yeah.
bores.
We work, they're usually pretty good on, yeah, there's a picture of it back there.
Yeah, we've approved several of those for them.
I'd make a motion. I'd make a motion to accept it.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the permit for Mound Ridge Telephone Company. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
There's a place on the, for you to sign.
Road and Bridge Superintendent. Oh, Jesse signed the wrong place. He signed there, and the commission signed.
Oh, yeah, just sign under you then. Thank you. Okay, that was all I had for Jesse.
Okay, is the Marion County Conservation District in yet?
Take a look.
A little early.
Yeah, we're the party. Jason's fun to be with this stuff, so you can
Sit back.
closer back.
Yes. Yes, that would be great.
Okay, I guess we can take a short break until they show up.
I'll try not to hit you with the chair. That would be very nice. Excuse me.
We'll
Excuse me, Tom, sorry.
take a 10-minute recess until Marion County Conservation District gets here.
Thanks, Tina.
You're welcome. That's probably a little
Yeah.
comfortable.
I don't feel like I'm in the middle of the pack. Don had his leg a bit and tugged on it, and so.
Morning, Betty.
Breeze.
You're gonna let you.
You get the
I
breeze
asked
like
you
that.
to go.
Really good rain.
How's it going?
Good, Mark. You want
You're
to
a
do,
friend.
Whoever's gonna be doing the speaking,
You're
you
forward.
want to do the speaking?
you gonna speak, Betty?
How are you guys?
Good.
Morning.
Doing well.
Okay, we'll go ahead and resume the meeting with the Marion County
Sorry,
Conservation
Ryan,
District.
you want to talk?
Just pass it on to you, Betty.
You know you're the expert.
Oh, yeah.
I'll sit close to you though. Back you up.
Morning, Greg. Okay, go ahead when you're ready.
Oh, I'm Betty Richmond, and I work for the Marion County Conservation District, and we're going to present the budget for next year. And they're asking for a little bit of an increase again. And then I've got information on what other counties are kind of getting. Well, this is a draft, it's not final yet, where the counties are getting around us. And then,
Is this just one page?
yeah. And then this is progress report. Here's another one, two that Matt will talk about.
And this is a progress report from the RAPS program that's administered.
Very, very
Mr.
nice.
Jones.
Might say Greg Bowers is the chairman of the board, and Mark Vogt is the vice here. And then Matt Marhoff is with NRCS, and Lisa Zimmerman's with the districts and RAPS.
No, I don't think that's an issue. Thank you.
What was our last year's budget?
It was 33 even.
33.
And so you're asking for how much this year? I these pages where we at?
36.
Yeah, I think 36 this year, okay. Oh, I see here,
Yeah.
right?
County appropriation down there.
Okay. all right.
Okay, and the increase is due to
Just operations.
ongoing operation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a very busy office up there.
Right.
A lot of things flying around, getting done.
What's our annual increase been over the last 5 years?
We haven't asked for any.
Hasn't been?
We got-
Last year was the first increase for quite a few years.
Yeah.
I might say the drought program for livestock water supply, the state had a special funding and the district took care of that. And then NRCS, you wanna go ahead and present your information?
I can, the one form there, it does have the 2018 results for federal programs. It's broke out by each individual program as far as the total number of payments made. The units there only talks about some, that's how many acres whatever practice you're looking at went on.
This one, is it this
Yes,
one?
it is that first one. So, yep.
Okay.
The first column there, that's practices applied and then dollars paid out. And then the right column there was applications taken and contracts funded with the total amount of dollars obligated through the Marion County office. Those are federal funds that are obligated to producers, so available for conservation work. If you have any specific questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
When you say to the producers, you're talking to the landowners who are,
Could be owners or operators, either one.
Operators, okay.
Yes,
if they're leasing ground or something like that?
Correct.
Yeah. As long as the program is met, then you have to have signatures of both, the operator and the owner?
It varies. We recently changed policy depending on what type of practice you're doing. If we're building something or planting something and the operator has signed up for those funds, the owner must sign off that, yes, I agree that this permanent change can occur on my ground. If it is a management practice, a change to how the operator is doing their operation, there is no longer a requirement to get that control. Similarly, if an owner signs up to take management payments, that they're going to require their operator to do something like no-till or specific prescribed grazing, we do have a signature that's required by the tenant stating that, yes, I understand the owner of this ground is going to be paid for what I have to do.
And these are contracts, which, you know,
This also goes for waterways?
Waterways are included on my list, yes, they would be a structural practice.
and then the state of Kansas has their cost share program, water resources and non-point source funding. And then we just got 2 new programs. It's the Lower Arc, or Smoky, ramps, which we've got a little tiny area that will involve Marion County for different practices.
Well, personally, I think that your office does a lot of stuff for the county. I don't have any problems at all, considering this amount of money. I think it's well worth it. And I appreciate all the work that you guys do, because you do so much stuff all the time.
There's a new disaster program about every year. Now we'll have a flood disaster program.
I have one.
Yes.
I have one application already that's been sent to the state office, and then you have one constituent who was in. I provided them with the information. They're going to go look at the issue they have and may bring that to you. It'd be the same program that you did 190th with.
I would like to say on the RAPS programs, we were approved for another 3 years. We just got done with 3 years of them. We have another 3. The last page of my report shows the increase. Both of the RAPS programs increased the dollar amounts that will be going to the producers. The reservoir by $28,580, and the increase to the cottonwood was $29,000. The total for just the cottonwood is $393,000 that will be going directly to the producers. That is very good. And in the reservoir area, it's $168,000 that'll be going to them. So
It's wonderful.
Any idea how much has got washed away?
a lot.
A
whole lot.
I mean, now, since you've just done that, does FEMA help you in any way?
I'm pretty sure that being able to talk to producers about putting in waterways and grass areas is going to be a lot easier in the next year. Just-
Plus the loss of tillable land to the drainages.
No one's done any calculations on that yet. So
But it'll be,
It's astounding.
yes, we've seen numerous gullies, any structural practices that were not maintained. If they were 50% or less, they have been overtopped and gone. We have noticed the ones that have been maintained well, they held up to all this rain. What we design and install is designed and installed to handle these rains that we've had. We've not had anything that was, above what we designed for. So there's a reason when we put in a terrace and the producer says that's awfully big, winter is why it's built that
This was the
way.
reason.
These happen.
Well, if they don't believe you, just look in the creek bottoms and you'll see all the silt that's there, and you'll see how much ground is washed.
Yeah, we're hoping there's many fields that if a field is considered non-highly erodible, there is no requirements to do any conservation work on that land. There's a few fields you can drive around the county and see, and we're hoping some people see the issues that they are having, and hopefully will voluntarily come in and request
it's
assistance.
eye-opening when they start farming it again.
Yeah, and we'll start knocking some front ends out.
Yeah.
Do you
Okay.
encourage no-till for some of those
Yes,
reasons?
and that's actually if on my report, you're gonna see a lot of ones that says cover crops and no-till. What we do is we do an annual payment for 4 years. If someone will convert to no-till and put in a cover crop one time in that 3-year period, we'll pay them $100 an acre to do that. That alone keeps more soil in place than if you have the recreational tillage. So yes, we do have a program that encourages
And that's through RAPS. We
Yes.
also have federal programs for that. If we're treating sheet and rill erosion, or if we are trying to improve soil quality, those are times where we would recommend no-till. Again, we work with a lot of producers who don't no-till and do other practices without it, so we can recommend it. It's not required to work with us.
I've said here quite a few times, but you just described a term that I've never heard, recreational tillage. I don't think they do it for recreation, do they?
We have a number of people who will walk in the office, and the last comment, I believe, was Grandpa was bored, so he worked that field.
Okay. You don't like to see weeds, in other words, yeah.
Yeah.
Like a fine top, nice and black.
Yeah.
Until the wind blows.
Or the rain falls.
When the rain falls.
I even see when the wind blows, sometimes it gets so dusty down there in Tampa, you can't hardly see all that topsoil blowing, which is good for the next guy, but,
There's not really.
get all that topsoil, but.
There's a video that was put out by one of the soil health groups. If you Google, I think it's called restless tillage syndrome. It's set up like a drug ad or try no-till. It's fairly common.
In any of your programs, what we're seeing, and we've seen it on TV, and it's happening right here in Marion County, but not in the form of houses going down the rivers, but creek bank erosion. I mean,
Actually, through the Neosho Regional Advisory Council that I sit on, it's through the Kansas Water Office. They actually have a stream bank protection program that they have actually put money into this last year. The legislature has agreed to do that. So yes, that is very active. There's one that's actually on the Cottonwood, down close to Elmdale and a little bit farther to the west. But yeah, they are trying to come up with procedures to save as many creek banks as they can. Not through the RAPS program, they don't do those, but the Kansas Water Office does have a program for stream bank stabilization.
in one of our last few months of articles of this, County News, NACO is really working on it. It was supposed to be doing it through the national government, the federal government by May, and working on stream bank erosion. But we have it happening right here in our creek banks, clear from our little streams to our big ones right here in Marion County. And, you know, I've been on a creek ever since I've been a kid, and as Kent probably has too, it just keeps getting worse and worse. And the big trees that's 20, 30 inches around or bigger, those ones that I took to the Cottonwood down here south of Marion, those were 36 and 40-inch trees. It's fallen in the creeks and the rivers. And so it's, I just think stream bank erosion is going to get uglier and uglier as we go.
I might say under the Water Resources Program, the board, under their ranking form, they've added points for people that put in conservation work that will benefit the county roads.
That's good to hear.
I have no further questions, Ken.
Any other questions?
I have no questions.
We have their request for their annual funding, $36,000. Any other discussion? I'll go ahead and make a motion. We go ahead and fund their 2020 request. Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you for the information.
Yeah.
That happened fast, didn't it?
Appreciate your time.
Yeah, usually that happens during the budget
Usually,
process.
yeah, that's okay. We streamlined it, that's okay.
2020 budget.
Usually you wait until you're preparing the budget to see how things are coming out.
And then we sit on pins and needles until we do.
Don't have to go.
See what happens when the early bird comes in?
We're in the middle of some trying times.
Good luck.
Yes.
Good, how are you?
Thank you. Folks from the Restoration Center. Okay.
Good morning.
Hi, Joy with Restoration Center. We have a drug and alcohol center down here at 125 East Main. We also have 3 other ones. Today we're requesting funding from the special alcohol tax fund. What I'd kind of like to do is kind of like to go over what we've done since or prior to this. To date, the Marion Restoration Office has provided $11,400 of free drug and alcohol treatment to 20 indigent persons, beginning in December of 2018 to April of 2019. We also provided $600 of free drug and alcohol evaluations to the Marion County area. We anticipate that we'll be providing about $30,000 to indigent funds in the 2019 fiscal period. These funds were taken from the other 3 restoration centers because currently there's no state funding that has been allocated for the Marion Restoration Center because we're a new facility and we saw the need in Marion County and so we came out here. One of the other things that you should be aware of is the additional funding that will be procuring is from SB 123. And we got statistics from the state, from the Senate Bill Commission, which is in 2017, there were 3 SB 123 people that were charged and treated not in Marion County. Obviously, there wasn't a treatment center here, but it went up from 3 in 2017 to 35 people that were charged with drug and alcohol issues, enough that the SB 123 funding took over, which tells me that there's an increase in drug and alcohol need in Marion County. And what happens is if we don't treat the drug and alcohol people then we have an increase in social economic impact on the county. And part of that impact is health needs. We have accidents, we have there's a judicial issue that becomes increasing and the courts become full with drug and alcohol that could be treated through drug and alcohol treatment. This is our first request, and it's my understanding that that the special alcohol tax funding comes on a quarterly basis from the state, and the state Kansas statute 7941A4 reports that local alcoholic liquor funds distributed of monies which states monies in the special alcohol and drug programs fund shall be expended only for the purchase, establishment, and maintenance of expansion of services or program group whose principal purpose is alcoholism and drug and alcohol prevention, education, drug and alcohol detox, intervention, and drug and alcohol abuse, treatment of persons whose alcohol or drug abusers are in danger of alcoholic or drug abuse. So to me, that clearly states that our request is appropriate in requesting the special alcohol tax funding for the county of Marion. And at this point, we're requesting $12,000. That just covers our loss, and that doesn't cover it doesn't cover like my wages to be here. It doesn't cover any of the budgeting costs. It just covers the free services that we provided to those indigent people. And those are the people in Marion County that could not afford drug and alcohol treatment at this time in their lives.
You're asking this for the 2020 budget, correct?
Actually, when I presented this, I looked at the budget for the commissioners, and there was a brokerage in their budget, and so that's what I was asking for. I haven't looked at the 2021 yet.
So this request is for 2019?
Yes.
Our budget we're just getting ready to do the 2020 budget. Our budget's been set for 2019.
Okay.
We have some money in the drug and alcohol on line item. I think it's $4,000 some odd dollars right now that is in there now.
Okay.
And I don't know, you said we get allegation quarterly.
Yes.
So that would take us, what, till,
Well, I can speak to how that's,
Okay.
how
Yeah, I was
the
gonna
board
say,
has done this. So we do have over $4,000 in the special alcohol fund that has been sitting there for a few years. And that was prior to the time that the Board of Commissioners took action to turn those quarterly distributions. They come in, and then at that time, the board had taken action to have them distributed straight out to FACT, to our SAPC committee, and they were in charge of distributing. And so we would need to figure out for 2020, if you're going to move forward, what action specifically was taken and how to undo that action should the board choose to switch the way they're funding. The reason it was done that way back then, the way I recall, the board turned that over to them because they were providing we didn't have a treatment program, as Joy indicated, and so they were covering the other parts of education, prevention, and the majority of those funds are used for events in the schools to educate the kids about drug and alcohol abuse, and to do events I think within the schools, they have different little events that they put on. And then the schools also have requested for after prom and those kind of things. So in the past, it has gone to those type of educational prevention, not treatment, because we didn't have that option here. So there will need to be some sort of board action as far as if you're going to change how that special alcohol tax is done, because we'll just need to go back and see what was done in the past and how to, if you want to make a change to that, how to do that. Because once you've developed that that SAPC committee, the statute talks about then the requests go through them. And so it just is going to take a little bit of research to figure that out. But we get, I'm not even sure, I didn't prepare that. I thought this was a 2020 request, but I do know that prior to the time of implementing that, where the distributions come straight into us and then we just send them on, prior to that, I know we have that a little over 4,000 sitting there. I'm not sure exactly how much our distributions are every year for the special alcohol. I would have to get that for you.
And those distributions come from the whole county for all of the sales of the tax?
Yes.
Of the alcohol and cigarettes, so that's like the whole county contributes to that fund?
Well, it's what comes from the state. So whatever taxes are collected and submitted to the state, and they distribute that to us, and it's, in the statute, it says a third goes to, well, based on our population, there's a formula where part of it goes to the park, part of it goes to, I think it's general, I don't have that, and then part of it goes to the special alcohol
Facilities.
fund.
and I think don't we give FACT 6,000, am I right?
We did, but that's
6,000?
funding for their organization.
Yeah, that's separate.
They're just managing those special alcohol funds on behalf of the county ever since the board took that action several years back. That's when Linda Ogden came in, and I don't remember who else at that time.
And when we presented to FACTS, they said that there wasn't enough money.
Well, they can't fund a $12,000 request because I don't believe we get that much in a year, and so that's what I was wondering about. And when I had asked Ashley about that, she said that she had told Carl Taylor that they could help with scholarships for your services and things like that. I don't know if that has been requested from them since that time. So,
We did some, but I don't think we got anything.
okay, and I'm not involved in that, so I can't answer. But that's what I was told, so.
So maybe we need to have Brad help us what we have to do to get
Sure.
some of this money
Yeah,
sent
'cause,
over
I mean,
to
it's
them.
all flowing to fact, we'd have to have a
You
way
need
to segregate that.
You would need to take some sort of formal action to reverse your previous action, and then I would say you could certainly change how you're allocating that. It's just a matter of figuring out what the right steps are.
Yeah.
It's obvious that the adults And we do adolescents in our program too, but it's obvious that the county needs a drug and alcohol treatment program. Because, I mean, we've proven that in the first quarter of our existence here.
Yeah.
So does the court refer people to you?
We get court referrals, we get St. Francis, we get DFS referrals, and we get private people that come in that just want treatment and they can't afford it. And we don't turn people away.
But you say you have made requests to FACT for scholarships?
We did our first submission, I can't remember how much it was. They did say that they would provide a breathalyzer for us, for the clients in.
But a breathalyzer is almost a nothing burger at this point in time. But what you need really is, am I
Is we
right?
need the funding for the clients that
Right.
actually come in and want treatment, because we don't want to turn them away. And at this point, if the courts request that they be drug and alcohol, and we can't afford it, they have to go out of county. So if we don't have the funding, they'll have to go out of county.
And probably they won't, am I right?
No, and then
They get back
that
into the court system.
puts a burden on the court and also puts a burden on the society. And what we do in our program is we've actually worked with our clients and found them homes so that they can be productive, and we found them jobs so that they can be productive. And we support them in that, in their clean and sober life, and then we encourage them, strongly encourage them to go to AANA and get sponsors so they're part of the community. So part of ours is a holistic approach so that we can reintegrate the clients into society in a positive manner.
Can I ask you some questions?
Sure.
What type of license do you have?
A drug and alcohol license for myself or the agency?
Agency, yourself?
The agency is state licensed through KDADS, and then I also have training and I'm licensed through the SB 123. I'm a clinical social worker, which means I've gotten well, and I'm also a licensed master's addiction counselor. So I'm licensed on mental health and I'm also licensed in addiction.
My question being is, I've been in law enforcement work for a lot of years, and sometimes we've taken people years ago, not recently, to counselors.
Yes.
Well, I've never seen a license, and I just wondered what kind of license to be a counselor you have to have. Is it,
To be a counselor, to bill, you have to have a clinic, you have to have a social, well, not necessarily a social worker. In addictions, you have to be licensed through the state of Kansas through the BSRB, which is addiction. And that first license is an LAC, licensed addiction counselor. I've gone beyond and got my licensed master's addiction counselor, which means I have a master's level in education. And then I'm also double licensed as a clinical social worker, so I can do mental health services. And I'm in the state of Kansas, and I'm licensed through the BSRB in the state of Kansas.
because I hope you understand that, you know, even though we like and we appreciate you coming to Marion County, I want to make sure that everything's legal.
Yes.
And so that we don't just hand money to something that sounds great, but I
Yes.
want to make sure it's licensed to do that.
And we have our state license for the KDADs hanging in the office, and I have my licenses down there.
Okay.
So it's
Thank you.
all legit. We went through, and for us to go through that, we have to have a building that's appropriate. We went through that building process, and we're actually bringing it up to code for a state license, which means that we have to be double locked behind double doors, and we've started that process by getting contractors to do that. And then we've had a fire marshal walk through the building to make sure it's appropriate, exits are appropriate, and we've also, we'll have a walk-through eventually.
Okay.
It just depends on when the state's
Yeah.
available.
Okay.
But we do the same licensing procedure in all of our facilities. And the state will come in on a yearly basis and audit our files to make sure that they're up to code.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I guess where we leave it is we'll get a hold of our counsel, Brad, and tell us how we need to approach whatever we need to do with the transition of funds for this year, and then
And then next year
and then look
we'll-
at next year differently.
As far as if the commission wanted to take any kind of action, as far as you still have the control over those previous funds, that's about 4,000. So if you wanted to allocate that, during this current year, you could do that. That's just up to the board,
None
because
of that-
that's
none of
under,
that's encumbered then.
no, that was there before, and we've had a few requests that have been paid out of there over the years, but those funds are still under commission,
So
whether you would
my
want to do that.
my question is, when you allocate funds from those funding, then do they come back to you and tell you where they've spent the money so that you can make sure that there's a checks and balance system,
Usually,
usually?
there's the fact, give us a report, stuff like that, what they've done.
Okay. Because I know with our state funding, we have to go back and show that this is where we spent it, this is what we spent it, and this is how much we provided for indigent, because we provide typically, in each office, we provide about 4 months of indigent care.
Right.
Well, with the figures that you're already treating clients in Marion County, personally, and since that money's been sitting there for so long, I have no problem myself giving that 4,000 to you to get going until we get other things going on. What the other two commissioners feel, but I think it's a needed program. And I know you've been here a couple times presenting different things, and I know in some of my other boards we had talked about your program, and there's a lot of support out there in the extrajudicial and different things like that for you. So, yes. And so, personally, I would say, my thought would be to go ahead and at least initiate the 4,000 that we have available at this time, and then take under advisement what we can do going forward.
Has your office made a commitment to Marion County?
Yes.
That we're gonna be here for X period of time?
This is the county that I personally have grown up in, and my kids have grown up, yes. And so I've seen what happens when the kids are not provided services, and I've also seen what happens when the adults are not provided services. Because I grew up in Hillsborough, my kids grew up in the Marion, Hillsborough area. And I could tell you horror stories. And it is definitely needed in this county. And I'm not saying that this county is any worse than any other county. This is just part of life that goes on.
And it's a subject nobody ever wants to talk about. It's a subject no county wants to bring forward, but we know it's there.
Well, I think that we need to provide the service and continue to keep the service in the area.
Yeah. So that's my thoughts.
As long as we don't have any of that money encumbered, I guess I don't have too big a problem with transferring that 4,000.
I think the only thing that I know it's been drawn out of is for programs or youth deals in the last few years. I don't know.
I would have to look, I don't remember.
And we would certainly want to continue to support that in the budget process too. This is just a,
This may be your only 4,000 donated this year. I mean, I don't know. We'll see. We'll have to now see what comes in, see what we've got to work with. And apparently, if we're not looking at 12,000, why?
I'll have to
Yeah.
pull the numbers out of
Right.
them.
So,
does the commission want to act on it?
I'll make a motion to go ahead and authorize the amount of money that's in the drug, alcohol fund to the restoration center at this time.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to forward those monies to the restoration center. Any other discussion? Not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
So for the 2020, do we have to do another submission, or?
What is your request for 2020? I thought this was it.
So this is,
So-
This is what we had left.
Yeah, if you would need to make a request for the 2020 budget.
Okay, so,
This is gonna be your 2019 money.
yes. So I'll submit another. Is it possible to get statements on how much was in the last year last 2 years for taxes.
You should be able to
collect it.
If you can just get with me, then I'm gonna have to look for that for the board anyway.
Okay.
I don't have that in front of me.
Yeah, once she gives us a copy of it, you should be able to get one too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for your support.
All right.
Thank you for your work.
Bud here? There you Bud here. Yeah. Here, Bud.
Morning.
Morning.
How are you this morning?
Good.
Dry?
Fine, dry.
Okay, I guess I'm here to maybe see if we can get an answer on which way you guys would like to proceed with the transfer station.
Well, let's tell them what's happened first, Bud.
Okay.
I mean, Bud and I took and just did a telephone conference with them to suggest what we thought the other day, talking about the west end being open,
With them.
being the.
Call Valley.
Call Valley, but the kid that's here, Randy.
Engineer, Randy Purdue, the
and-
engineer.
And
The owner, the
owner
engineer.
guy, the older guy.
The owner.
So we met there and give them an idea of what we was talking about at the West End Open. And as far as shutting the doors out and getting them out of there, yeah, that can be a price reduction in the building. They looked it over, just listening and talking back and forth. It's not a change of any major problems until after we got done with the conversation. They called us back in about 5 minutes. They had taken and done a Google of the building online, and they come across High Lines from the city of Marion, takes off and goes right across the west end of the existing building. Above the tipping floor, it looks to be somewhat in the neighborhood of 13 to 16 foot of clearance, give or take some there. The top of the lines is not even close to the top of the existing building, which that's what we're asking if the new building would be 26 foot. That's about where the existing building is. So at that time, they wanted us to go and look. So Bud and I physically went down there and looked and thought of some ideas to how we could accomplish this. And at that time, there's just no way to accomplish this unless these electric lines coming out of the city of Marion was addressed. So, not knowing anything, I just went to Roger Holter, described what we was talking about, what we was looking at, give him a viewpoint. He come up with the idea to get the lines moved would be go to the west around our property line and then tie back in, which would get the high lines completely away from our existing facility or a new facility, either way. What he did is he has an engineer for electrical in consultation, and he went to him and set a spitball figure. I have not got back with Roger yet. He sent that email last, did you get a copy of it? You copied in? Okay. There was an email sent to this person, and I have not received anything since then. So where we stand right now is see what kind of figure this is. I got a feeling even if we put the office and the little doors on the end and don't do the open end, we're still going to have a 13-foot clearance real close with high voltage lines on the west end. I'm concerned about that.
They didn't recognize that from the get-go, that might be a problem.
Well, it's been recognized, but it's always been said that it's gonna cost a lot of money to move it. So that's, but I don't think, with public dumping, they were too concerned about on the west end at the original, like Randy said, with the office and the original, if that was there, because
So that's one thing that I would like to address before we step any further and just see. It'd be great if the existing lines was away from the new facility and the old facility, period. Rerouted around. It's going to take about 4 poles to do that. I don't know whether Roger also gave me a clue that they are trying to, electrician sitting over here, he's probably going to gonna change my mind, but they have high voltage coming in and they have a step-down transformer in this little metal building and some other transformers, and they're in the process of getting rid of all of that stuff. I don't know how soon, how soon their plan is and things like that, but they will be just straight through high voltage, and the way I understand Roger, that it will reduce them from having to buy some step-down transformers and things like that. So that's just roughly what Roger told me. I would like to probably at least clear it up with Roger, get an idea to present to you before, and I told Roger, I said, I don't want no cost yet. I said, if it's a cost, come back to me, let me know so I can come back to the board and ask for approval to do that. But Roger was very nice, cordial to, said, well, let me see if this guy will give us a spitball figure roughly in the neighborhood where we're looking, 30,000, 50,000, I don't know. So everything else will work with that, and it's not no major changes on opening the west end except for these electric lines. So they wasn't, I don't think they, in my opinion, they was not upset with that at all. It just, they want us to know these electric lines are going to be there.
So is that a city project or Westar?
No, that is city. This is all city. And we looked at the agreement that when the building was sold to Rex and Theo Bond, some of the things like that was in that agreement, but some of it was not, and whether we're wanting to expand a new project, whether we got any right to ask to move. So that's, I assume it's going to be on us. It's not laid out in that agreement who would expend cost and stuff like that. So I guess what I'm asking for is another week to talk with Roger and see if I can't have something a little better prepared, because that was Thursday, I think Thursday.
Yeah.
Thursday when we talked to Roger, and probably hadn't had time to do it, so.
Well, would it be appropriate, since you're saying that they're thinking about moving some transformers and stuff, that if we move forward with something like that, we could do it in conjunction with the city?
Well, that's what I would hope, yeah. Yeah, if it benefits them too, I would have no problem with that, but we gotta know what it's gonna cost.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I don't know, lines away from the building, new or old, is probably a better thing for this high voltage, because there's quite a few, I think 6 on top or 7 on top of it.
There's five on top, 3 below.
3 below, 8 total. And they're not light duty lines, they're not 120 volt, they're big ones. They're 1200, I think is what he said, something like that.
It's 12.70 on the lumen line, and it's probably 10,000 per line, 100,000 per line, maybe on the transmissions. But
Yeah, it's big voltage, and that's all I know. I know I don't want to stick something up there and get it caught in there. I know that for sure.
if it was just
I mean, if we're dealing with a liability issue.
Well, and that's what I say. So I think
Yeah.
Roger was very nice. He sent that email on, but I have not got a copy back whether that guy sent an answer back. So, and
Wait and see.
I'd like another week anyway before we move forward with that.
And then also, my part-time guy, he's been filling in for the people who need to take off and working his regular hours that we have him at work and everything. And he's got about 400 hours left for the year. And on 1,000 hours, we're not using him above what he's needed for. We're just using him as he's needed. So I'm just wondering if we could extend, past the 1,000 hours if we need to in the year, or what kind of action we need to take for that.
That over 1,000 hours changes some of the employment.
Yeah, so if someone is working, let's address the 1,000 hours first, because if they hit 1,000 hours, then they become eligible for capers. And so then the county would have to contribute, and the individual would have to be enrolled and contribute to capers. And that would have to be monitored, every year to make sure that, and if it continues to be over 1,000 hours, then they would have to stay as a capers member. And then also then you get into a problem with having other health insurance as well, because if the person gets to a point where they are working consistently 30 hours or more per week, we have to offer health insurance. And so the way that part-time employees have been structured in the past is that it's 1,000 hours, and that they're not allowed to go over. If they do, I mean, if it looks like they're going to, you know, maybe once, it's not such an issue with capers, but we're supposed to enroll them when they hit 1,000. So some of the other departments, if they have had those issues, they have just had that person stop working, or they have another part-time person that they hire on to take over some of those duties or to help. Or it's whether the board wants to approve that going over and then having to be liable for those benefits.
You say he's used 400 hours?
No, that's what he has left for the year.
That's 400 hours.
Yes.
And
And see,
we're
the
just
thing of
in
it
it.
is, the guys, the full-time people that are down there are getting enough years in that they're getting vacation time, you know.
Right.
And I need to use him when they're on vacation, you know, or sick, or if, you know, if they're off for some other reason, you know, I have to use him to fill in for the full-time person that's off. So basically, it's gonna be crunch time for me if somebody, because some of the guys still got 2 weeks of vacation to use, you know, and it's just running out of the hours for them, so.
Do you have a budget for a full-time employee?
I would say I probably do.
But then that also affects your employee benefits fund.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Another reason why, Bud, is why are you using this gentleman more?
Well, in the past, I've had him out picking up trash because we had a complaint one time. I've had 2 complaints now about the transfer station, trash blowing all over the place. And so we just thought we were controlling it pretty good. City of Marion said they were satisfied with it, but obviously we're not. And we're trying to keep it controlled and picking up the trash.
So the last complaint that you had,
Yeah.
just this past week or whenever it was,
Yeah.
when you went in and you went and picked up and cleaned up, I assume, right?
Yeah.
Was it bad?
No.
Was it worse than complaint?
I really
Was it
didn't.
a piece of trash
I mean,
or two or something?
trash is trash, you know. To one person, one of those pack of trash is bad. It's been worse.
So a
It's been
Walmart
lot
bag
worse.
that was flying across, is that
Yeah.
what?
There was
what
nothing
you're dealing
flying.
with?
There was nothing flying lately because wet trash won't fly very well. And anyway, just what we had got cleaned up in a little short time. You know, once he got there, I told him to go out and get it picked up right quick, like, you know. And there was a time on the first one where I went down and I policed the area and picked up most of the trash and did it, you know, got it picked up around to where it was manageable for another person to come in, you know, because.
The only other thing that I see is that we spend 30 minutes every day with all of our 3 employees picking up trash the first thing in the morning. I mean, we curtail, we open until 8:15 or something like that. We spend 15 or 20 minutes, and I think they go to work at 7:45 or something.
Yeah, they clock in 8:45 and clock out 4:15, and that allows for their half-hour
We keep
lunch
the-
break that they very seldom get, but anyway, that's.
We keep the door shut until 8:15 or so, with going out and picking up trash. If it's a group effort, I would think that might be another way to keep the trash situation, at least beginning of the day, it's clean, and maybe the next morning you pick up yesterday's trash. So.
You just have one part-time?
Yep. Just one part-time and all my departments.
I was gonna say, would it be beneficial to have 2 part-time?
It may be, if you look at the schedule, I don't know.
Yeah.
It may be. Maybe at that, to wait for alternate, yeah. That's a possibility too, Kim.
I mean, you know, we have retired people and stuff around, you know,
Right.
maybe somebody would want a part-time job.
Yeah,
Right.
just come down and do, maybe just
But
this area.
every time I advertise for a part-time person, I get maybe 1, 2,
All you need is one.
I know.
Yeah. If you get
And the one, I
guess it's-
hired the one last time, so, but anyway, I
I would
just,
go for another part-time person rather than boost up our benefits. We're
right,
really
right.
pushing the
I
envelope
mean, it would
there.
seem like that might be the appropriate way to go about it, is to
Maybe
have 2 part-time people.
maybe advertise for that as a trash patrol down there. Maybe that would, maybe somebody would like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's possible we might need them for something else, though, too.
Yeah, I mean, and then you could break them, if they wanted to do more, well, that'd be, you know, that's up to Bud and whether the person's eligible and healthy enough, I don't know. Just an idea.
Yes, it would be worth trying to see what kind of interest you can get.
I can do that.
And that way you can keep this guy on helping fill them in and stuff like that, if you got somebody to do that.
Yeah, I'd prefer to leave somebody that is knowledgeable of what's going on, you know.
You know, and if you could get another part-time person over time, they could develop a few of those skills too.
Yeah. So,
I'd be willing to do that, try another part-time person, see.
I'll see if that works. I'll advertise, see if I can't get somebody to bite on it and stuff.
Part-time people are hard to find because we go through a lot of them. And when you find a good one, which he has a very good one right now, you know, I think he deserves full-time. Because it's hard to find people that will work part-time that will work a day. Excuse my French, but I think you're missing a boat here because this kid is very good, knowledgeable, he's friendly, he hustles. So I go down every Saturday, and when he's there, he hustles a lot.
Well, we'll be starting the budget process pretty soon. We
And I think you're missing a
look
boat.
at that.
He will be a career employee. I don't know how Bud feels, but I think if you get him now, he'll stay for 40 years.
What's your thoughts, Diane?
I think that's a
I'm
good.
gonna stick with
Look.
my original thought because, you know, even what you say may be very true. We can only afford so much. You know,
Yeah, but, I mean,
if you don't have the money,
sometimes
you can't afford it, you just can't
And we
afford
can,
it.
we can look at it in our budgetary process to see if that's gonna be a possibility.
Right.
If we decide that, then maybe the 400 hours ends, and then maybe we go ahead and turn him right into a full-time, if that's what if it works. I have no problem with something.
I just
like that,
wanted
too.
to get your input on
But then
which
it'd
way
be
you want
nice
to
to have a
go.
part-time person then.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And then the other thing I'd like to address is our tire cutter is done. Need to go get it this week. We are, I guess my thoughts are is it possible that we just go ahead and pay for it in full out of this year's budget? That way we don't tie up money for however long the bid process would be for, you know, I know it's quite a bit, $31,936 is the price of the machine. And that's what it would be. And I have that in this year's budget to go ahead and pay for it. And that way you're not tying up money in the future budgets, because there's a possibility that the whole truck may need to be replaced. I don't know, in the last year and a half, we've stuck $30,000 into that with rental truck and repairs. So, you know, you need to look, that might be coming down the road in the next year or so, you know, that we may need to replace that. And that's something that would have to be budgeted for payments, you know, lease purchase. And,
What model is that truck, Bud?
2010. Yeah.
It's approaching 600,000.
I think it is getting there, yeah.
Is it 500,000? It's over 500.
Yeah, I believe it is, yes. You know, that's just, and what it went in for this year was something that, I'm not gonna say it was fixed, it was something that was not addressed last time it went in because they couldn't diagnose where it was coming from. It wasn't bad enough, and this time they finally found it, so. Anyway.
The truck was purchased with the idea of maybe 750,000, you know, and it's approaching 10 years. You said 2010.
Yeah, they got it in 2009. It's a 2010 model, but it was purchased in 2009.
Approaching 10 years, so
Yeah.
I don't know. We have to set some sort of guidelines of where we want it, but maybe we was thinking more miles than that. It's approaching 600, but yet 750,000 within
I
100.
know a lot of the road truckers, you know, do pretty much a rebuild at $500,000.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that's I don't know how many dollars
yeah.
that would be
But
10 to
even-
20,000, I don't know.
More, probably.
We've had this one in for not only engine work, but for frame work and stuff, because the frame got bent at one time or another, and when, I don't know, it was before I took over the department, and I had it worked on last year, and that's why, and it's still not right, but it's as close as they can get it, so, it still wears out tires prematurely in my guessing, you know, what tires should run. I don't know how it happened, but it happened. And
The rough terrain that they pull into down to the landfill down there is the only time that really is, other than the road getting to the landfill. That's
yeah,
all.
it's.
Otherwise, it's on the
I
highway.
think it's, yeah, otherwise it's on the highway or the good roads. They're fairly decent roads, getting to the landfill, it's getting into the landfill and getting around and stuff and whatnot. And how it happened, I have no idea. Nobody seems to know that's down there right now. It happened before the guys that are there now, so.
Well, back to your original question, if you had the money in your budget, I would certainly support paying for it rather than financing. And finance such costs.
You don't foresee any budget constraints by doing that?
I don't think we will have. I mean, anything can happen.
I'm
you
gonna
know.
say unforeseen sometimes can bite you.
You know, and I don't know what the plans were for the lease purchase, you know, how long it was gonna go for, or
When we did bids, it was 3 years.
3 years, see? So.
But eventually, then you get to the point to where your money is tied up in payments.
Right,
And
and
so if you keep doing it over and over and over, so sometimes
with the
just,
building coming on and stuff, like Kent has mentioned, you know, I just thought maybe this was a chance just to get it done before, and as far as foreseeing anything, I think everything is gonna be fine. We lucked out that 850 went in for a repair, and it was under warranty. The exhaust system had to be replaced, the whole exhaust system had to be replaced on the 850 Bobcat, and it was completely under warranty, so that didn't cost us anything, so.
You have an update of where our budget's at on the transfer station right now?
I don't have
It's
it.
total expenses, I mean, what's sitting in the bank and stuff like that.
I can get it, I don't have it.
Okay, I didn't know whether you looked at it lately, but yeah, maybe we ought to look at that.
It would seem though, a machine like this, I mean, what's the lifespan? 10 years?
I think, yeah, at least, you know, so.
I mean, and so to me, a 3-year lease purchase encumbers us gives us the most flexibility, you know, of maintaining cash balances. You know, and we're still operating under ideal climate for those type of purchases. When we look at what these bids have come in at.
I just, you know, was just wondering if that was a possibility. That way you wouldn't be tying up, you know, because we've already got the retired hoe purchased on that. And this thing will add to the.
Why don't we take a look at our current status on that account and see exactly where we're at, so we know what to talk about with, I mean.
The unforeseen is what concerns me, and there's always unforeseen.
Yeah. Seeing exactly, because I have not just seen the total number, that's all I've seen, so.
Do you want me to get it today?
No, bring it back to us for next
Okay.
week.
I mean, irregardless, we're gonna have to pay for it, whether we do the
Right.
lease purchase or not. It's still gonna have to be paid for, and then we can still do the lease purchase. I guess after we look at that, if that's
Yep.
what commission
Yeah,
is
do
asking.
you have bids today?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's go ahead with that, and see what it is. We can make that decision after we look at the account.
Okay.
So do you want to look at the bids?
Yeah, I would. I mean, because they're here.
If we've got them, let's look at
See
them.
what kind of percent interest you're gonna get.
and it's on 31,000, it's 31,000?
Yeah.
Okay. The first one is from Community National Bank and Trust. lease purchase financing, $31,936. $100 loan fee for a term of 3 years with an interest rate of 3.95% with an annual payment of $11,503.24.
11,503.24.
Yeah, 503.24. The next one is from the Cottonwood Valley Bank. In this same amount, finance $31,936. $300 loan fee with an interest rate of 3.850% for annual payment of $11,475.34.
That's, yeah, you'll just need to open that.
Okay, I have at least purchase bid here from Marion National Bank. Gross amount $31,936. No origination fee, just a $15 UCC filing fee with a rate of 3.43%. 3 annual payments, $11,383.81. It's from Marion National Bank.
That was it, I think.
I guess we just had 3 bids. We had 3 bids.
What was that first one,
The Community National,
Yeah.
$11,503.24, $395. So we've got rates of $395, $385, and $343. Of course, the Marion National one carries no loan fees, just the UCC filing fee, $15. So we have 3 fairly competitive bids there.
Right now, the Marion National will be a little, correct?
Right, Marion National will be the low bid.
Again, I'd like to look and see just exactly where we stand right now, because we're going through,
Okay?
and
Okay, we will.
hold that till this next week.
We will hold these bids, and I was gonna say, is there anything on there that says the bid's good for, normally they're good for 30 days?
Usually, I mean, we don't usually get that far down into
Yeah.
the details on that because it's usually pretty quick turnaround on these.
Does not say, does not say.
The only thing is we got a 30-day on the invoice here.
Okay, okay.
Just, you know,
What was the date of the invoice?
Friday.
Okay.
How about 31st is payday? How about if we want to bring that back as a special item on that, take care of it Friday?
Yeah.
And take a look at the account for Friday?
Okay, all right. Okay, try to make a decision on that on Friday.
Yeah, put that on the agenda, just make sure.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else, Bud?
That's all I have unless you have something for me. Oh, I did have one other thing. The recycle bins, we had over 1,600 pounds that went into the trash truck over this weekend from the transfer station. They were contaminated with trash, so.
So how do I explain that, how that happened?
Well, the trash bin isn't out anymore. People pulled up there and they obviously can't read no trash, so it went in there. It was put in over the weekend. And
What does it just say? Does it say recycle was on there?
no, there's all kinds of things on there.
But I think the bottom line is, but, and I think we discussed that before, you know, people
Yeah,
want that service.
Yeah.
And if they travel in a distance with a
Right.
couple garbage bags, they're not gonna take that garbage back.
yeah, I
So
know.
if we need to have a bigger bin or 2 more bins, I mean, we
Well-
realize that they're using it, which we want them to do, so it's not in the ditches.
Yeah,
We're gonna have to accommodate, we have an obvious need.
but we also have to have the personnel to go and dump the bins on the weekend, and here we are again, back to, what do we want to do?
Well,
Go ahead.
Are the recycle bins next to the trash bins?
No,
No?
there's no trash bin out on the weekend.
Oh.
They was before, John.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
They're-
the
they're-
trash bin or recycle bin, easiest solution psychologically would be to separate them, but where they'd have to drive further to get the recyclables get rid of. Because people that are into recycling will do that extra.
The way it's set
And
up,
you just have trash out
the
there.
way it's set up, we have the two recycle bins set beside, and then we had the trash bin running in. People would pull in, dump the trash, pull up, do their recycle, and then they're on their way. It got to the point where the trash bin, there was probably 3 or 4 binfuls of stuff around the trash bin that the guys had to pick up by hand first before they could even hook up to the bin to go dump it. You know, I mean, full is full.
Yeah.
You don't see the city dumpsters get abused by, overfilled that way.
Ours gets filled on the weekend, when they're outside the building.
Yeah,
We always have strange trash.
yeah.
People cruise alleys and.
I just
They put it in the
wanted,
bin at least.
Yeah.
we are really policing our recycle since we're going to the new facility now, and everything is working out good so far there. We're gonna be taking the second load up. They were pleased to get the first load, said it was an excellent load, no trash and everything. So
This is a problem we've created ourselves. We just started the bin here just, what, 3-4 months ago?
Probably that.
Yeah.
Trying to figure out a solution to keep the people off the floor when construction started, because it's gonna get tight down there once construction starts on the big building, to keep the traffic out is what was something that we tried to do, and then, I guess.
how much were one of those bins? How much did we pay for one of those? Did you make them?
It was made by us, yeah.
And
I
roughly
think
how much?
materials was about $800 for it,
$800.
yeah.
And I just did some rough figuring here, just the finance charge on that tire cutting that you would pay would be around $3,000-4,000. You can make a lot more bins for that different money rather
You
than
could
buying
make
them.
3 or 4 of them, yeah.
Or make bigger, I don't know.
Well, I don't know
guess
if
they
our
don't
machines
be
would
bigger,
handle a
but-
bigger one. We
Yeah.
made this one just about as big as what our machine would
Okay.
handle to dump.
I mean, I don't see it getting any better. I mean, I don't see probably being solved unless we accommodate and have enough things out
Well,
there.
I
Like
just,
pull those with a 3/4 ton pickup too. I mean, those bins.
No, not that, not the trash bin.
Those
The
aren't
trash
on
bin
axles.
is
Those aren't
forks.
on axles.
No, the recycle bins are on the trailer and we pull it around with 1 ton, but the trash bin that's down there is, you
Yeah.
hook up to the forks on the skid steer, chain it on, take it in, dump it, take it back out, unhook it.
Well, no, we've had quite a few people that have called all of us, requesting that.
They like the
place-
service.
Place, and,
And I think we can oblige them once we get the new building built. I think we can take care of this, some of this
Yeah,
extended hours.
it is a problem.
Yeah.
It's like you said, you're gonna have somebody on call to go dump it.
Yeah. That's the whole thing.
So what is cheaper? Is it cheaper to make a couple more bins or is it cheaper to hire somebody to police all this? Which is the cheapest way? to
Well,
go?
obviously, it's
I mean,
gonna
that's
be
probably the choice.
cheaper to make the bins,
Sure.
If you have 3 or 4 bins sitting out there, that may, it may.
Well, it certainly would help.
Yes, it would help. It would help. So if that's,
The more bins we put out, the more will come.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know. I think you've got your regulars
Yeah.
that are coming in now that had been used to it, I mean, we try to accommodate the working man is what we try to do. Because a lot of people can't make it there during working hours, our working hours and their working hours. And this bin was helping out. It's helping out quite a bit. We have it sitting there from 7 o'clock Monday morning till noon on Saturday. And
Well,
it's there
I can see it
24.
continue to get worse because the trash companies just keep raising rates. They add a fuel surcharge.
Yeah.
Now I've seen one now they got administrative charge.
Right.
I don't know what the next charge is gonna be, but there's gonna be some there.
Yeah.
Some.
Yeah.
Cell phone charge.
Yeah.
You wait till you pull up there and find
Well, the
out.
next one will be is we work on a holiday charge. Because were picking up yesterday.
Yeah.
Wait till you pull up there and when Bud comes to work or his men comes to work on Monday morning, it's full of tires, full of building debris, it's full of, that's what's gonna happen. We're gonna lead to that. It just inevitably did in Peabody over a mere matter of time when you leave an open dumpster. And people start abusing it and it gets worse. And I don't foresee, and my vote is not to foresee opening trash up to open bins all the time out there because I think you just lead yourself to more problems. I think we still need, we've done it for years, maintaining hours, and people come in on Saturdays, but yet we can open our hours more with a newer facility where we can handle it, I think. I just think we can do it and help the public, but I don't want you to open yourself up right now to make more bins and then say, well, we're gonna leave them out there. I mean, I don't think that's the way we wanna go. I don't know. In my experience, and I've seen Peabody's, what happens there, so Peabody's maybe has more trash, I don't know.
I mean, if it's
It's a
your
dirty
guys'
business, it's a dirty business.
wish that we build more bins, we can do that, you know, but I just want you to be aware.
You're gonna get C and D and tires and.
I mean, if we're gonna be filling the recycle bins up with trash,
That's not good either.
that's not good. I
Doesn't do
mean,
anything.
So I guess I don't understand how you get C&D and stuff, because most of your contractors and stuff don't work on you guys either.
well, it's
Homeowners
anybody's
are the
C&D.
ones that are
Yeah,
bringing
but-
out.
It's anybody's C&D.
Yeah.
I just can't picture that being a big problem. I mean, has
Well,
it been so
the
far?
thing
Have
is-
you been getting a lot of C&D
Well,
on the
the thing
weekend?
about C&D is, you know, we charge for 300 pounds, anything over 300 pounds. So if somebody shows up there after hours
Mhm,
and throws their C&D away,
mhm,
then they're not getting charged for it. And if it's over 300 pounds, you know, they're making money there, you
mhm.
know.
And I understand that,
Yeah.
and I can see where we would address that
Yeah.
once that happens.
Right.
But if it doesn't happen, then maybe we're just kind of over speculating, I don't know.
Oh, we get
No,
all,
we're not.
we get all kinds of stuff in, I mean, we've had about a dozen tires get put in there, you know, and some with rims on there and.
Yes.
and-
And that's, it's,
You know.
and it's good to get rid of the stuff. I'm not gonna say it's not that. It's just the idea of, you know, we're not doing what
We can't police 24/7, that's the whole thing.
Right.
Right there in a nutshell. We can't,
Right.
you know, and even if you had a surveillance system, it wouldn't do you any good, you know.
Well, no, because you work in the refrigerator anyway.
Right, right.
But, I got that. But
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if
Publish
you
pictures on
provide,
the county website.
if you really put forth the effort, and I'm not saying you don't, because you do, but I'm just saying, if you put out a couple more bins or something like that, we're doing everything we possibly can. The bad people are gonna do what the bad people are gonna do.
Right.
I mean, the inconsiderate
Right. We
people
can't
do that,
control
you're,
everybody.
you're just not gonna, whether you have one bin or 10. But the thing is, if you have a couple more bins, the people that are just putting trash will help you. You know, that's what I'm just saying.
I just, you know, that's,
And, okay, let's go future. Buildings there, the garage doors are open. What, you go down there, step right down there right now, which I did a couple weeks ago or so, and watch, I think I was locating lines that day. And what I watched was, there was open building where they could have pulled right through the open building and dumped right on the floor, right where it was supposed to be. But 5 trucks or 6 stops out here, away from the building, and throws it in the dumpster out here before they'll go drive on through. And so that creates these guys to come down and do this and pick it up out of here instead of, where they could have dumped it directly into the floor.
But see, I thought that was the purpose
Not
of
of the-
having those bins outside, was so that they were staying off of the floor.
the main
while they're
purpose,
doing that.
the main purpose of this bin that was built was to see if there was some way to keep the traffic after construction started on the big building, because there's gonna be a real congestion down there when that happens.
Mm-hmm.
And we was trying to keep the minimal, the 1-2 bag people, you know, from driving through and stuff.
I
And-
thought that was the
Yeah,
purpose, yeah.
and as far as like what Randy observed, I've seen it too, but you know, I'm not gonna go down and tell everybody, you know,
They're
come
over
up
there
and drive
driving.
across the floor, because then they're gonna be confused. Well, sign says put the trash down here, don't put it up here. You know, we're just trying to eliminate a congestion when and if it ever starts, you know.
And I guess it is confusing, because I was confused too, because
Right.
there were times when the door was open.
Right.
I threw 2 bags in the bin,
Mhm.
because I assumed that that's what,
And that's
It's
mainly
been out
what we
there
tried
for-
to do, is for that purpose, you know. If you had a
Okay.
big load, Yeah, you know, we would like for them to come in and throw it on the floor, that way it doesn't fill up the bin, so, but in true aspect, we're not gonna go down and tell them, don't put it here, we want you to bring that up on the floor, you know?
We're
So,
gonna go through construction, it's gonna be tough one way or the other.
yeah,
But I guess
we
if
just were
if
trying
people don't know,
to,
people don't know.
we
If
were
it's,
just trying
you
to
know,
accommodate everybody, you know, and I guess in the long run, we've made more of a headache than we have, but it
I don't
works.
think so. I
It
don't
works
think so.
when
I
it
think you're
does.
providing a good, so I think people appreciate it.
You know, but just,
Yeah.
I just wanted to let you know that that's what we had happen on the recycle, and if, I mean, I don't want to take the recycle bins away for the weekend either, because then
And I
it's
think
not gonna serve the purpose.
in my visit with Roger there Friday, Thursday or Friday, his concern is still what his letter was to the city, to the county. He said that the single stream, that people are, due to dirty cardboard, dirty stuff like that, dirty other things, that the single stream is, he's still feeling that there's gonna be still some money to be made if we was to divide back. And so, he's got some concerns that way in what his viewpoint was, so. Single stream's easiest, but I guess if it comes down to making money with it, why then, because the way we all did it before was wash the cans, wash this and that. I don't know if that's the best, but that's clean glass and stuff like that, that's what they're buying. They're not buying dirty stuff.
Right. Like you said, there's just no money in it.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's all I have, and I'll just,
Yeah.
do you want me to come back Friday, or do I need to just,
On the bud.
on the
I
bid?
don't think I have to come back, we have all the information.
Okay, just let me know then.
Yeah.
What-
Let you know what we do.
Yeah, you want this invoice, Tina, on your desk?
Sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
I'll put it there, thanks.
Thanks.
Okay, that was the last thing on the agenda, so we'll open it up.
We need to do something though with the contract of the agreement for the county engineer.
Well, you
Somehow
want
we
to-
need to handle that today yet.
You want to address that yet today?
Yeah, I'd like to go ahead and talk about it and see whether we agree with what all this down on the contract.
So if the board wants to discuss that, then you have the ability to do that in executive session. We'll
Yes.
discuss with the board first. If
Yes.
you want to then come out and discuss with the
You
board.
want to do that now, or you want to go ahead and take public comment?
Take public.
Let's go ahead and take public comments. Tracy?
Real briefly, Florence has the same issue that the transfer station does with people putting stuff wherever they want, whatever they want, anytime they want. And it does create extra man hours and trying to sort it all out. I've always looked at it as it's a service. So if it takes the extra man hours, that's what we do because we're serving our customers. But the thing I wanted to really bring up, Bud said that this part-time guy that's working for him, and Dave said he's great and does a good job. If he's already used 600 hours in 5 months, he's working close to 30 hours a week anyway. I mean, if he's that good and he's getting stuff done, maybe it is to the benefit of the county to go ahead, or the transfer station, to go ahead and make him full-time. You know, I mean, he's close anyway. I understand that there's a lot more involved when they're full-time, but he's already, I mean, if he's gotten that many hours, he could be looking at somebody saying, hey, this guy's working 30, 35 hours a week. He should be getting benefits.
We'll take a look at the budget and see how it affects that.
Yeah. But anyway, when he said 600 hours already in 5 months, that's almost full-time. So anyway, that's all I wanted to say.
Okay. Anybody else? We have a chance.
That would just like an auctioneer. Going once, going twice.
Not at this time. Going once, going twice. Going 3 times. Okay. This time, we're gonna go into executive session.
If you do want Brad to call in, he could be available by phone, but he's in another court today, so I don't know exactly what time. So maybe if the board discusses what they want to discuss, if you think you need him, then let me know. And I
Okay.
can see about trying to get him a chance
Okay,
to
we'll
call
have
in.
an initial executive session then. Okay, we'll move, that we recess into executive session in order to discuss personal matters of non-elected personnel. We're going to discuss a contract negotiation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with the commission until, how long do we need? 15 minutes?
Yeah, 15 minutes.
Okay, so that would be 11:05 until 11:05, and we'll resume back in open session. Moved and seconded, all in favor? Aye.
You ready?
Are we live? Okay. Out of executive session, no action taken. At this time, I'm going to move that we recess in executive session in order to discuss personnel, number one, personnel matters of non-elected personnel, in order to discuss contract negotiations pursuant to KSA 75-4319B with the commission and Mr. Goebel until 11:15.
You have a copy of contract with him?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Good.
For how long?
5 minutes.
5 minutes?
We're going back in for 5 minutes.
No, I gotta get my notebook back out. Here it is.
Okay. Out of executive session, no action taken. That was the last of our agenda.
I do want to let you know that I heard from Brad Vance over the break, and he says he will probably need to have an executive session with you all sometime or a special meeting and an executive session sometime with you this week in regard to the lawsuit that has been filed. He doesn't know yet when, so. If you want to talk to him about it, if you want to wait like 5 minutes or 10 minutes, he could call in when he's available.
Might be good if we all at least had 24-hour notice in case people have other stuff going on.
Right, I mean today though, if you want to talk to him today about anything, if you are still in session in about 5 or 10 minutes, that he would be available to call in if you have anything for him today.
But he wanted to address this personally.
He does on this other
Right.
issue, and so he's just wanting you to be aware that it's likely that we'll need a special meeting later this week. We could even do part of it by the phone, if some of you wouldn't be available, where you could be available by
Incorporate
phone.
it into our Friday meeting? Or would
I don't
once it's
know.
in there?
I don't know what
Okay.
his
Okay,
schedule
we'll
is.
leave that
and-
up to him.
Okay, just wanted to let you know that.
Okay.
What was the executive session again? Contract negotiation?
Contract negotiation.
Okay.
I did get clarification too from Pat on that charge, so here's that.
Okay.
I just. Okay. I think the way that attorneys use the word conference, it's not the way we all think of conference, as in a bunch of people together.
Well, I am going to, this is not correct, and I will argue with this. I'm just not going to settle for this at all. His recall is incorrect, so. I would just mention that. good. I
Well,
get
that
my
was his
phone records if
response.
I have to.
Okay.
Okay.
All right. Anything else, Tina? Okay. So I said that was the last of our agenda items. Make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Moving second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.